Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Walls. Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well and keeping warm as well. As you can see just behind me there, we've had a little bit of snow and ice here in Wolverhampton, so the temperature is very much dropping. But good news is that the international break is over. We've not got another one of those well into 2025, which is nice. So we've got a run of fixtures now for Wolves. Games that are on paper Wolves should and could be getting points out of, so it's going to be an extremely interesting end to November and throughout December till the end of the year as well. But giving you guys a bit of an update, I've had a little bit of a chance to recharge the batteries over the last 10 days or so, so I do apologise that there's not really been much content out there, but giving you an update of what's going on in and around Wolverhampton Wanderers ahead of this weekend's game against Fulham. Before we kick off though, guys, big shout out to our channel partners over at Football Prizes, who have got this signed and framed Steve Bull shirt up for grabs. It actually ends tomorrow, which is Thursday the 21st. So if you want to get involved in that, please do so by using the link at the top of the description. But we had some news today and an article from John Percy over at the Telegraph, who is very reliable, and he's basically broken the news. I say broken the news, but brought out an article today to say that Wolves have pretty much got a centre-back as their number one priority for this January transfer window. I think we all knew, and to be fair, I tried to defend the club on this and sort of... I don't know. I think it was pretty obvious that Wolves needed a defender, and they sort of clambered to try and get one towards the end of the window. It was then denied a month or so later that they weren't really pursuing a defender. But I think it's been made pretty obvious now. Gerson Mosquera, who had started the season for us, is out for the campaign pretty much. And obviously, over the course of the season, you're going to get suspensions, you're going to get little niggles here and there. The Wolves really do need another one. And Bastien Moypiu, the young lad that would sign from France, hasn't really been fit until up to now, really. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. And you can see with Wolves' defensive record as well, it's pretty much a must for Wolves to do that. Now, it's never as straightforward as this, but you would really, really hope Wolves are putting plans into place now to get something done, signed, sealed and delivered for pretty much early part of January. With the FA Cup fairly early on, you might get a little bit of grace going into sort of 10 days or so into the window, but certainly Wolves should not be scatting around on deadline day in January trying to find a defender. You would hope that this is something that's going to be set up sooner rather than later. It has been said that no other further additions are expected to be made, so certainly don't expect maybe another winger or another forward to come in January, but certainly a centre-back is an option that Wolves are looking at. In terms of departures, I have no doubt we may see some of those. There's players that just come to mind, like Luke Cundle straight away, who was kept on, hasn't really come close to at all having a first-team opportunity, so he'll more than likely leave on loan or on a permanent sale as well, alongside some other players as well. In terms of centre-backs, no real names have been mentioned much as of yet. Over the summer, the Wolves were linked with a number of defenders, a number of whom have moved on already to other clubs as well. Wolves, for whatever reason, didn't pursue them and then moved on to other clubs. Two players that sort of spring to mind straight away that are still at their existing clubs, though. Nico Elvedi, who Wolves have had a long-term interest, has played a handful of games for Borussia Mönchengladbach so far this season, and Kevin Danso as well, currently playing for Nice, I believe, over in Lens, in France. He's still there as well, so he could be an option that Wolves do look to pursue once again as well. But in regards to defenders, and it's pretty much backing to what I've just said, Santiago Bueno is a doubt going into this weekend's game against Fulham. He had a little bit of a knock actually after the last Premier League game, and he still went on international duty with Uruguay, but they sent him home after the first international game. Wolves requested that he came back, and he has done so. He's a doubt. Wolves have done it this season where they've sort of stuck by with these players, so I still have a feeling that he might feature on Saturday, but if he is out, it's going to be very interesting to see how Wolves line up, and of course I'll talk a lot more about that on the match preview, which will be released on Friday evening, and we'll hear more from Gary O'Neill as well on Friday afternoon, I have no doubt. In regards to a couple of other little bits and pieces that have been happening, Sasha Kic, of course, struggled really to get consistent game time under Gary O'Neill, although did get a couple of match-winning goals for us towards the start of last season. Went out on loan back to the Bundesliga and unfortunately had another serious injury. However, he is back in training now. Not quite back in team training, but has been on the grass for a short while. And Gary O'Neill believes that Sasha could be back into full training within the next couple of weeks or so. So I think he wanted to be back for Christmas, which may still be doable, but definitely by the new year we could have Sasha back, and it'll be interesting to see what Wolves do with him, because in terms of value, there's not really much sell on value at the moment. Do they keep him around and maybe move someone like Gonzalo Guedes in January, possibly? But it'd be very interesting to see what happens with Sasha, because he's an interesting option. Doesn't really have the physical presence in terms of getting himself about like Jurgen Strand-Larsen, but definitely, you know, with his height, it offers something completely different to Wolves. So I will be intrigued from the outside to see how Wolves deal with the situation, but it would be obviously great to see Sasha back on the pitch in whatever capacity that we can get him into. Hugo Bueno as well has actually been linked this week to a potential move to Barcelona. Of course, the Spanish left-back was moved out on loan to Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie this summer, and he's actually doing pretty well so far. Now, we posted this on Talking Wolves. The amount of people that I think looked at this the completely wrong way, saying, well, why is he good enough for Barcelona, but he's not good enough for Gary O'Neill? And I don't think that's the case, really. I think ultimately Wolves value Hugo Bueno a lot, and the reason he's out on loan is because they know that in terms of quality as of right now, Ryan Aït-Nouri probably has the edge on Hugo. But Wolves value Hugo Bueno and want him to be getting a lot of game time. You know, struggled with injuries for the last 12, 18 months or so. Got given the odd opportunity. But if we can get him out on loan and get him consistent minutes, you know, he had a small injury towards the start of the season for Feyenoord, but has kicked on really ever since. You know, this is nothing but good for Wolves, whether it's Hugo Bueno is now at a good quality and they can maybe take on big bids for Ryan Aït-Nouri, or it increases the sell-on value of Hugo Bueno. I think the loan deal is a win-win for Wolves, and ultimately it is going to get interest. And with him being a Spaniard, of course, there's going to be Spanish interest in him as well. So Barcelona want him as a potential understudy for their current left-back. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see deals, you know, an interest like this more often. I think he was, off the top of my head, he was linked with Atletico Madrid a short while ago, maybe 18 months, 2 years ago. So I think the loan move has done him good. It's worked well for both parties. I think the main reason people are upset with this is that Wolves didn't really replace him. We've struggled to have a backup left back, which, as of right now, touch wood, hasn't really bitten us yet. But certainly, you know, Ryan and Mario Lemina are going to go off to AFCON in January. Wolves need something lined up, whether they're going to stick with Matt Doherty at left back, whether they are going to sign someone short term. Obviously, the sort of Totti experiment at left back has worked slightly, and we've been able to push Ryan further up. So Wolves probably, as of right now, aren't too concerned about that. But for me, Hugo Bueno, it's working for him. And one other transfer rumour that Wolves have looked at is they're keeping a close eye on the Hertha attacking midfielder Ibrahim Maza, 18 years of age, does represent Algeria at an international level, but originally German. Hertha are actually in the second division of Germany, the Zweite Bundesliga, so really they're looking to get promoted this season, but he's an extremely talented young player, and if Hertha don't get promoted, there is a chance that Ibrahim Maza will be moved on. Wolves amongst a number of Premier League teams looking at him, predominantly an attacking midfielder. So certainly not one for January, I don't think. One probably more for next summer. So we'll keep our eye to see if anything does materialise from that. And that is all for today, guys. A quick update. Of course, silly season is approaching with December. We'll get the January transfer window soon enough. So I'm sure your other halves might be sick of seeing my face on the TV talking to you guys about Wolves transfers within the next month or so. But as always, appreciate your support. We'll be back on Friday and over the weekend with a pre and post match Fulham content. And as always, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon.